Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Roof It Up 2024. It is freaking crazy. We're in 2024. Insane. I'm really excited. Today, we have the president of RoofCON. If you have never been to RoofCON, you truly are missing out. I'm definitely going to give some time for Diego to share, but we have Dante with us today, president of RoofCON, also an amazing man, a great father. If you follow him on social, you can see a lot of his family there too, and just an exceptional leader. So Diego, we're so excited to have you. And yeah, if you want to just say a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kick off this podcast. We're so glad to have you here.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. This is exciting. I know we've talked for a while. I've listened in on a couple episodes of podcasts that you guys have done, and I think you guys are doing really cool stuff. I think you guys bring a great youthful vibe to the industry that needs it a lot. So that's super cool. But yeah, a little bit about me. We run RoofCON here. My team does. I can't take most of the credit. I have a great team here that puts RoofCON together, and we are, just working on. It's a year-round thing, right? So we work on RoofCON. We work on a 3-day event for 362 days out of the year. So I am the master overthinker.
I can only imagine. Literally, the immense just administrative things that have to happen just to make it such an amazing event that it is. We have been to RoofCON and we love it. I can only imagine. You and your team are really killing it. You guys really lead a phenomenal event. So
thank you.
Congrats. We're so excited to have you. Okay, so Diego, just a few questions for you. Okay, we're going to roll it out here. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started just even in the space of RoofCON or even the roofing industry? Like how did that happen? Because most of the times when we're hearing stories, it's not as if you woke up one day and said, wow, I want to be in the roofing industry, right? And similar to our story,
quite the opposite.
Yeah. So how did that happen? Like what went down and how did you get into the industry? Would love to know a little bit about that story.
Yeah, so when I was 18, I graduated from high school, and my dad was in construction, and he basically told me that I was going to go work with him, and I went and started doing framing at 18 years old, and I was the guy carrying all the plywood from the trailer to the job site and doing all that.
Yeah.
And I vividly remember all the guys that worked there with me basically telling me, yeah, you suck, basically. Like, you're terrible at this, and you should really go do something else because you are not good at this. And so I lasted about 2 months, and at about that point, we kind of had a mutual understanding that it just wasn't a good fit. And so I left, got into sales. And from sales,
I froze a little bit, but it's okay. It's tech.
Yeah. So I got into sales initially, and then a company I was working for at the time was they had a college reimbursement program. So I was like, oh, cool. I can go to college with this. And so I went and, started going through getting a business degree. And it was so pointless. It was like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, I just want to have some sort of degree so I could put it on a resume and say, because I probably wouldn't have gone to college otherwise. Mm-hmm. And I did a associates to bachelor's program where it was the first 2 years I was going to do at a community college, and then the next 2 years I was going to go to a 4-year college, and I got to my associate's degree, where I finished up my associate's degree, and I was like, I hate this, I am not doing this. So I stopped after I had a few courses more towards my bachelor's, and I was like, if I ever need this, I'll go back, and I was like, I'm glad that I have that associate's degree so I can go back if I need to. Yeah. But I hate this so much. It was a business degree that I was getting. So while I was getting that degree, they had an opening at my company for a marketing job. And that was really like, I saw the marketing people. I was like, man, that looks so cool. All the stuff that they do. They go set up at all these home shows and they do all this stuff. And so I applied for this job and they needed someone quickly. And I was not qualified. And I told them basically like, hey, you don't even need to give me the full pay. I just want to do this. Like, I want to learn. I'm going to school for it. Like, that was one of the things. You needed to have a 4-year degree. And I was like, I'm in school, but I don't have, the qualifications, the experience, none of the stuff. Like, you barely have to pay me any more than you're paying me right now. I just want to do this job. And so I got in. They somehow they gave me the opportunity. I may have embellished my resume too for them to give me that job a little bit. And they gave me this job. And I did that I had already been there for 2 years. I ended up doing the marketing thing for 5 years. And this was an internet company. Now, I didn't know the first thing about marketing. And the first thing that I did was, okay, if we're trying to sell internet accounts, what is it that, I started just thinking to myself, who are the people how can I sell to more people? That's really the big thing is like, How do I generate bigger jobs or anything like that? Because that was the big thing is like, how many new modems are going out, basically? And so I said, okay, well, we're in a college town. Why don't we start hitting up these hotels, they're building apartment complexes everywhere. So I started I was like just trying to connect with all the people that could get us more accounts. And we ended up getting a lot of these big hotels, all the big management companies. And so we added in tons of new work from a lot of the stuff that I was doing. And so the company ended up getting bought out. And basically one day to the next, after I had been there for 5 years and done a lot of good work, they just came in and they're like, hey, we have our own marketing people. Today's your last day. So I'd been there for 7 years total at this point. The joys of like these big these corporations that just don't care about anything besides the bottom line, right? So
exactly.
From there, I called up some friends. It worked out fine. Like it was brutal. They called me up. They're like, hey, we're going to give you a really nice severance package and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. So I called up on my way home. By the time I had a 7-minute drive from my office to my house. By the time I got back to the house, I had already gotten a job offer from me calling people up because I had already started building a network. And this guy had offered me a job doing basically working for this billboard company. But I was going to have to move. That was the problem. And I was like, or the offer was like, hey, I don't have a job here, but I have a job in Atlanta. And it's told me what the salary was and all the stuff. And I was like, well, let me think on it because Atlanta's kind of, it's 2 hours away from where I am. And it's just, may not, I don't really want to move to Atlanta specifically. Right. So then I connected with Hunter Ballou on Facebook, which I didn't know him, but I had a mutual friend with him. And Hunter invited me to come out to Cornerstone, just a building we're at right now. Came out here and met up with Hunter. And it was so funny. The first day I met Hunter, he was in his I just knew he had a construction company. That's all I knew. And he had I show up and he's got like he's in a hoodie and a beanie. And I thought he was just like a guy working there. He's like my age, And so walk back to his office and I hand him my resume and he literally grabs the resume and throws it in the trash right in front of me. And we just start talking and
literally can imagine this. Like you're telling the story and I'm picturing the actual scenario in my head and I'm like, that is actually funny because if you know him, well, I don't, I've met him a few times, but like that's him. I could totally see that. That is funny.
Yeah, okay, probably like the least professional person you've ever met in your life. So, and I'm like in slacks and like a button-up shirt, and he literally is like in a hoodie and a beanie, and I think he had Crocs on. So
No, that is too funny.
yeah, so then we sit down, we start talking, he starts telling me about all the stuff they do here, and they have like a foundation for like they're helping kids, and they've got which, by the way, there was no foundation. The foundation was all in his head. Hunter's like this big visionary guy. And so it was more like, hey, we're doing these things. And in his mind, I love Hunter's idea of like, it's already happened. This is his quote. It's already happened. The time just hasn't elapsed yet. So he starts talking about all these things where like, we're already in full like, RoofCon 24 mode. We already know what's going on. Like, we have the long-term vision for everything. It's just a matter of like, we haven't done the work to get there yet. Right. So,
yeah.
So anyway, he sold me on the vision is what it was. And I came in. So I took an all commission sales job, turned down the salary job, took up an all commission sales job with Hunter, show up the first day, and they start talking about, I got home, it was funny. I got home, my mother-in-law was at my house with my wife, they're chatting, and she's like, hey, how did it go? All this stuff. I was like, good. Talking about the foundation, and they've got like a basketball court inside the warehouse, and it's like such a fun atmosphere, and like there's potential to make a lot of money and all this stuff. And then they're like, well, what are you going to be doing? And I was like, I don't even know. I'm just going like sales, but I don't really know. And so then I show up the first day, and Albert, the production manager, is talking at the front of the sales meeting. And he's like, yeah, if you got to get on roofs, or make sure that you're getting up there and marking stuff up. And I was like, whoa. I knew this was a construction company, but I've never gotten on a roof in my life, and I'm scared of heights. So I don't know that this is going to work. And so I found out day one that it was a roofing company. I thought it was just a pure construction company. So show up. And I will say we've worked on these processes. This was several years ago. We've worked on these processes now. The amount of systems and processes that we have for hiring now are impeccable. And it's funny because now I'm doing a presentation next week at a Roofer Rise event that talking about automating your recruiting and onboarding. So, but anyway, all that to say, we figured it out, but I didn't know when I showed up that it was a roofing company. So, right as I started working here, we got hit with a hailstorm, we got hit with a tornado, so we got hit with a couple storms that made it to where I was able to sell a bunch right from the beginning.
Right.
And then COVID hit. And right when COVID hit, I was like, man, we didn't know if we were going to be stuck at home or anything like that. And Hunter, right before I joined, had RoofCon, the first RoofCon. And so he said, hey, I've been I need to get people in-house to be able to to be able to host the conference, because I just don't really have the time to be able to dedicate to this, because he'd done the first one, it was like 50 people, and he realized it was too much work. And he's like, I know you're a marketing guy, so maybe this could really work to where you could run this thing. And so COVID hit, I was like, dude, I don't know if I'm gonna be stuck at home for 2 weeks. Let me at least call up and make some deals happen for you. Right. Basically, long story short, sold a couple big deals that made it to where it basically paid for my salary for the year. And I was like, all right, I'm like, let's make this happen. And then the rest is history. And now we're going on RoofCon 5. So that's kind of a long story, but I wanted to give you the full rundown of that.
I love it. I love how in moments, obviously, you were at this other job for 7 years, then they came in, and then just from the connections that you had made and then got connected with Hunter. Love that he's such a great leader. That I think that's great leadership, right? Where you're bringing people onto the vision and people feel moved and propelled to go on the journey with you, which seems that that's what he did, because you're like, I'm sold, I'm in. And didn't realize it was even a roofing company. That's how well the sale was. But I love how
he's
now
a great salesperson.
Yeah, I love how you now being with the company and you're like, oh my gosh, now the processes and procedures, there's no way someone's not going to realize that they're not a roofing company anymore right when they start. That's awesome just to see that that integration of you being there, and just cool to see the story and the journey, because from being at RoofCon and times that I have been there and even our team, you just feel this environment of just movement and like it's not selling roofs, it's impacting lives. And I think that's throughout the whole brand and everything that even RoofCon is. That's at least for me, being there, sitting in the audience and just listening to just incredible people that are there to share and help us become better. It's a really
I mean, imagine going to a roofing conference and learning about roofing.
Yeah,
like you're doing roofs all day. Like,
right.
That's the last thing I want to go. Is I went to some of these conferences here recently, and I like them. I mean, it's fun networking. I love networking wherever I go, but I went to a couple workshops and it was like talking about how flat roof systems are installed, and I was like, all right, that's not for me. But I mean, I was like, let's talk about leadership. Let's talk about personal development for roofing contractors. How do we make something different? We just want to be different is all it is. It's like, that's cool. Like, I know there's people that love that, but I just want to do something different. That's all it is.
Right. And bringing us to that is, there is on your LinkedIn profile, there's actually this quote that you have on there, and it says, I firmly believe that impact must come before income. And
you did your research. Wow.
Can you tell us, got to give it out to our marketing team who definitely does all of this great stuff getting us ready. But so I can't take all credit for that. But can you tell us just more about that philosophy, like the impact before income, and how it applies to the roofing industry, kind of how it applies to your guys' life and in this roofing industry that we're currently in? Would love to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So, I think that there's a lot to unpack there. So last year, RoofCon, we do this because we love it, right? And I think that a lot of the times you got to think about, how can I impact more people instead of just how can I build more roofs to be able to make more money. It's like there's a balance, right? Like, you have to be able to make money, provide for your family, but like you literally can't impact other people without the money. It costs us millions of dollars to put on RoofCon, and we about break even. Like, last year we did it at a loss. This year we're like at break even point. I'm just, it's just, it is what it is. Like, we do this because we have an opportunity to be able to impact people, not because we're getting, rich off of it.
Right.
And that's not like a pat on the back or anything like that. Like, it's just my way of saying I will say a caveat on this is, like, I firmly do believe that when you do the things that impact other people, you have the opportunity to make more money too. And that sometimes when you make more money, that doesn't necessarily make it to where you are fulfilled and you are to where you feel good about yourself or all these things. Last year I took a little break. I went to go build roofs for about 9 months, and definitely made more money. Was not fulfilled. So it's just one of those things. I just think that you got to find that balance to where, for me, it's like, okay, there has to be a line, right, to where I'm providing for my family. I'm making enough to be able to do the things that I need to do, that I love to do, but then also to where I'm not sacrificing being able to have an impact for other people just to be able to make more money.
Yeah. No,
I kind of went, there's a lot of thoughts there. I don't know if that fully answered your question.
Yeah. So just to kind of, I guess, kind of getting it back, like, um, let me know if what I'm saying you feel is kind of, aligned here. But it's this part of like the impact when you're driven. I always say life is so short, right? Like there is people like my corporate life that they would give all of their life, right, to for this, for work. And then at the end of their life, they just got a clap and a cake. That's it. That's all they got. Right. And so, but throughout the journey, they made money, but they lost their families. They lost their kids. They lost like, so many, just you're constantly losing because it's driven by really the impact of just getting like the making of the more income, right? But there's so much loss that's involved because it's not really impact driven. So what I look at it now, it's like if one of our core values here, it's we're about people. So when we're helping, right? When we're doing things with excellence, it's not just to do it, it's because there's a greater impact, right? It's a ripple effect, right? And so doing things with excellence, like as you guys are with RoofCON, that's an excellent, literally excellent event, done with excellence. You could see it just with the quality of the individuals that are there speaking and sharing. You could see it with like everything that's involved from when you get there to the very end, everything like that. You see it's done with such excellence. Your team does a phenomenal job. And there's an impact that happens and there's a huge ripple effect, right? So and I'm kind of going in trail rabbit here, but just kind of like when we do things with excellence, we want to do it and it impacts people's lives, right? It's impacting fathers who are going to become better dads, right? Who are then better dads make a better impact in children's life, right? That are the future of tomorrow. So this thing, and then it happens that people want to work more with you. They want to be more at the event. They want to, at a roofing company, they want to work with your brand because you have a greater impact in your team, in their lives, and the income comes because people feel moved. They feel like they're part of something greater. Anyways, I went on a huge rabbit there,
No,
but I
yeah,
think
and I
that's
think
kind of aligned, maybe.
yeah, and I think that again, it's not impact. It's not that you can't, you can have both. Is what I'm getting at.
Totally.
The thing is, how do you put the? I just think you need to prioritize impact. Is all it is.
Yes.
So
not income only.
yeah,
100%.
so I think there's a lot of cool stuff like directly related with Cornerstone Construction here, which share a building here which is Hunter's Roofing Company. They do 1% of their yearly revenue goes towards the Revolt Foundation, which is the foundation I was talking about. This was, when I joined, there was no actual foundation. They were just doing events for the community. And it turned into an actual foundation. And so they know when they go out and they pitch a roof to someone, they're saying to them, hey, when you purchase through us, 1% of everything that's coming in from this roof is going towards this foundation that we have that does, events for, gives back to the community, helps kids develop leadership skills, all this stuff. And so I think that there's a good balance. So when I say, hey, I went out and I built roofs last year and I just wasn't fulfilled, it's not in the sense of like, hey, it's just that for me, it was just business for me at that point. It was just, I was just going out, building roofs, making a paycheck, coming home at the end of the day. And I think that there's ways to design it to where you're able to live a more fulfilling life and you're able to impact more people while also generating income, but prioritizing the impact over the income.
Yeah, no, that was really well said. No, so powerful. I think those listening, I think you're going to really be able to, just like grasp it because there's such more meaning to life, right? Obviously, money and finances are so powerful because obviously they help propel things forward. But yeah, doing it with impact, so good. That's really good. Okay, so a question for you: what's next for you, and like in RoofCon president, all that stuff, and how can listeners stay up to date with your work? Like, how can they connect? What's next? Yeah, just Love having
Well,
you here.
it is definitely 2024 right now, and so by this point, 2023 has already happened and been an incredible year.
Yeah.
Which at this point you'll be able to go on our website and check out all the new cool stuff that we're working on. So I know we are recording this a little earlier before 23 is done, but my next thing right now is get through this event that we have. We're we're pretty close to it right now, so it's finishing up all the little details and then going into full planning mode for 2024. We have an announcement at the show that we're going to be making about where we're going to be hosting that, so I'm super excited about that. But yeah, just roofcon.com always has all the cool details of all the new stuff that we're working on. But my big thing is just continuing. It's like I said, it's like everything we've been talking about. Just putting on a good show, putting on something that people can come to and they're like, oh, wow, that's different from what everyone else is doing, right? How do we do it different from what everyone else is doing? And we talked about this at the beginning too of, I said you guys bring like a youthful presence to the industry. I always see your Instagram videos with all your staff, and they just look like they're having a fun time all the time. So I feel the same way of like, that's my thing. It's just, how do we do it different, but how do we have fun in doing what we're doing and not fall into the trap of just mediocrity and and like just being boring. Not to say that roofing is boring, but it can be if you let it be. And so how do we make roofing more exciting and bring more, bring a youthful presence and give a place for the young people that are coming up to be able to make it to where it's like it's an exciting industry to be in, So
yeah, no, it legitimately is. It's like there's so many great things that are happening in the industry too, which is exciting. And then, okay, so for those listening, it's 2024. Obviously, as this is going out, it's 2024. But how, just like, if they're new in the roofing industry or they're thinking about going into the roofing industry, is RoofCon for them? Like, who is RoofCon for? So those listening can be like, hey, I haven't gone yet. Maybe definitely go in 2024. But who is it for? Who is RoofCon for?
Yeah. RoofCon is, I know I'm going to sound like that guy. RoofCon is for everyone. And I say this because you could be in any industry and get stuff out of RoofCon. You could be in any sort of, home, you could be, I had some friends of mine that came in here from Greenville, a guy that owns a moving company and a guy that owns a carpet cleaning company here from Greenville. And those guys went down to RoofCon and they raved about all the stuff that they learned at the show. Because it's for everyone. It's really not a roofing specific show. It's like I said earlier. Sometimes you go to conferences and they talk about roofing, like, that's weird. So we're going to have some sessions on some stuff related to like getting into commercial roofing and insurance supplements and stuff like that. But for the most part, this is a business conference for the roofing industry. So if you are trying to scale a business, this is for you. If you're a sales rep wanting to learn how to sell more, this is for you. If you're running a roofing company and you don't have a commercial division, but you want to add a commercial division, this is for you. If you're trying to set up systems and processes, but you haven't been able to do that yet, this is for you. So all in all, it is for people who are running businesses. This is for you. If you're running a business or a part of a roofing business or any sort of other business, you can get something out of RoofCon. My parents are coming. My parents are they do not own their own businesses, but they're super excited to come, and they're not in roofing. So
yeah, no, and I would say 100%, because when I first attended my first one, I just went with my husband and I was literally not in the roofing industry at all. We were just we weren't in it, and it was so powerful. I mean, loved it. And
which one did you go to? Did you go to the first one that we did in Florida?
No, I think that was it. I think
21?
that was the first one you did in Florida. Yes, in 21.
with Ed Milet.
21. Yes, Ed Milet was there, and he was so good.
So good.
Yeah.
He's my favorite speaker that we've had ever, period.
Yeah, fire. He's so fire. All right. Well, first, Diego, thank you so much for being on Roof It Up. We're so thankful that you're here and you just gave us some of your time, and look forward to seeing you in RoofCons.